Jeff did exhibit an interest in the way bones clanked as he picked them up and put them back into the metal pail. There definitely were warning signs that I missed. He roamed around the country roads where we lived and gathered on his bike with big plastic bags the remains of various animals. And he kept these animals and felt them, explored them, their insides. He was extremely secretive and devious.
Now, what you just got a glimpse of is all coming up, but first, I want to welcome two men who say they were victims of Jeffrey Dahmer. The difference is they survived. Preston Davis and Billy Capshaw. Gentlemen, it's so good to meet you, and I mean that at two levels. It's good to meet you, and it's good that you're still here and alive and able to be met, because you now know a lot more about this individual you were dealing with and realize you could easily have been numbers 18 and 19. That's hard to think about.
Yes, sir. It's real hard to think about, and it almost happened. You know, I went into the military when I was 17 years old and left home from a place in Arkansas, a little small town. And moving forward, I got to Germany, and there was a jolly guy who introduces me to my next roommate, and it was Jeff Dahmer. That was the first day I was there.
Okay, so when you're first there, he
Yes.
says you're gonna have a roommate. This is him. This is Jeff Dahmer.
This is Jeff
And
Dahmer.
Preston, how did you meet Jeff?
I actually met Jeff. I was in Germany from 1977 to 1980. I had about 8 months left in country, and my sergeant asked me to train the new gentleman, which was Jeffrey Dahmer, and that was July of '79. He told me that he would promote me to sergeant, and so we were out on a field exercise in Belgium, and I was to train him to be a medic. And the last few days of our exercise, our vehicle broke down, and during that time, I was drugged and raped by Jeffrey. At that time, I had no recollection of it. The following month, we were at a Thanksgiving dinner, and I had actually got into an altercation with Jeff, put him out into a blizzard. He came back with blood on his hands, didn't know where he'd been, what he'd done. Now, the only way I found that out was I was on a serial killer website, and I found out I was in a book called The Shrine of Jeffrey Dahmer, which was written by Brian Masters, and it mentioned me by name. It described the incident, and that kind of blew me away. At that point, I still really hadn't put it all together. And then when I left, this gentleman here replaced me. And I was contacted in 2012 to do a film on men rape in the military called Justice Denied. And so that's when I met Billy, and we went to Albuquerque, and we were in that film. And then it just started to take off. You know, God started revealing little bits and pieces. I went through my records. I realized I had all kind of rectal issues throughout my career. And that's basically how we met. And we've been doing this ever since.
What was your first impression of
Jeffrey was a very obnoxious individual. He was very different. And when I say that, I mean, you know, the average gentleman at 17 or 18 would talk about when we played football or basketball in high school, or I dated this girl, or I dated that girl. That was never discussed. He was just a very aloof type individual, smart, but just different. And, you know, once he drank, his whole personality would change. He was very racist. He talked about blacks, Jews, you know, how he was better than. And I remember precisely, you know, what he drank. He was a beef eater's gin drinker. And there was an incident where he urinated in my boots, and I beat him up because I boxed prior to going into the military, and they moved him out of my room. I didn't remember that. I thought I was fighting him because he called me out of my name. But one of the soldiers that I was stationed with recently told me that's what that altercation was about.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.